Hello weird girls with pretty doe eyes and brownish hair, or whatever it was that Sylvia Plath said. My name is Penny and welcome back to another episode of Rest and Relaxation.
And it's not exactly like anybody cares, so...
I was thinking of rereading my year of rest and relaxation recently after, my recent months of rest and relaxation, because alongside The Bell Jar and Cleopatra and Frankenstein, these are some of my favourite books ever. I guess it's something about a girl being crazy in New York. Eventually, I decided not to. Mainly as a choice of self-preservation, because while I find that kind of art deeply alluring, I also recognise it usually ends up pretty badly for me, as I dive into my Marina and Lana Tumblr-fueled weird girl era.
I hear the birds on the summer.
I also usually get pretty sad, but I'm just quirky, so I get it. I almost gagged saying that. I've ragged on that kind of aesthetic before, about a year ago now actually, but I think that was a bit of a betrayal of my character, considering how much I actually love most of the things that are associated with this kind of aesthetic. Quick speed run of this course so you can get more to know about Penny. First, Born to Die is peak Lana and Ultraviolence is probably second. Marina is one of the greatest pop stars of the 21st century.
You wish you'd written, sung and why? From Wanker Man.
Too much like food.
And The Family Jewels is one of the greatest pop albums literally ever. This photo belongs in the Smithsonian. Skins is a great TV show. I definitely shouldn't have watched it at 15 and definitely don't watch it if you're 15. That's probably just going to make them want to go watch it, isn't it? This is just this, but B-Tech edition. And if you do not know what a B-Tech is...
That's what you get, fam. Push you.
What else? The modern indie sleaze revival is contrived and doesn't function today as indie sleaze because indie sleaze was about freedom and posing like supermodels in a club defeats the whole point. What else? I don't know, I think our obsession as women with being in an era is an extension of the internalized feeling we have to always market ourselves. Femininity is a rule book contorting into a simulacrum that we are forced to project to appeal to the same people that told us we had no value in the first place. This is the definition of a simulacrum, by the way, and this is a very good video about it that made me change my direction in life.
Thank you so much for sharing this journey with me.
So yeah, this website was very important to me, and also literally the worst thing ever invented. It broke into my house and ate all of my mac and cheese while singing Heathens by 21 Pilots. The croaker is the only thing left, and if you don't know the Muppet Joker, just know that all work, no play makes Kermit a dull Muppet. All work, no play makes Kermit a dull Muppet. All work, no play makes Kermit a dull Muppet. All work, no play makes...
Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
Now that we have speed ran through that section of my life, let's talk about eras. I am sick of them. I'm sick of everyone being in their insert era. I think our obsession with eras is obviously tied to a sense of marketing, and I covered the reasons for that in this video, but I think outside of that there is a much more internal motivator for this. With the general rise of social media since MySpace to modern day X the Everything app, we have also seen the general rise of glorification. Most people agree that social media is feeding us a narrative, whether that is about politics, cancellations, or a celebrity's new skincare product. Social media is incredibly overwhelming as it is, but it's still only telling half a story. When you open Twitter and get hit with the, oh my god, did you know your rights are being taken away? Also, this YouTuber scammed their audience and this clearly ill person that needs help did something crazy. Watch now, you don't want to miss this new hack. Oh, did you hear that Droomph collabed with Hege on a new viral makeup cleanser that has all natural ostrich egg essence, which does everything? You know what, just insert the Quenlin Blackwell tweet.
What the fuck is this?
I just want to be a normal person. The stories that we are told in these narratives are half-truths. Behind every chic Pinterest board covered with written by Sylvia Plath, directed by Sofia Coppola, filled with it girls of the past, are haunting stories and moments that are not displayed or shown in those still images of someone walking down the street with a Vogue pursed between their lips. The spared details lead to a glorification and a romanticization of something much more sinister. Now, there is a reason the title is a play on Brat. You can point to any song here, but specifically 365.
Did too much, like, it's not going well for me.
If these lyrics were in an indie song with an acoustic guitar, it would probably be considered the sound of someone's life falling apart. Don't get me wrong, I have an appreciation for Charlie as a OG
Tumblr icon. Super crazy, super cute.
But while we are caught up in the performity of it all, let's remember the real implications here. When the reality of the day-to-day slog kicks in, that's when we tend to romanticize, right? It's much more satisfying to spare the details and view your behavior through this lens that's painted with the color of these references, almost as if you are channeling something you aspire to be.
Baudrillard argues that simulacra is not a copy of the real, but rather becomes real in its own right.
Hell, even if your behavior is genuine, the performative nature we see in social media is enough to almost beg you to internally channel something. Everything has its reference, so when you consider that internal motivator and the commodification of our nostalgia, it's a pretty powerful vehicle to sell yourself or anyone an idea. So with that in mind, let's talk about indie sleaze. Oh, indie sleaze, which is not what it was called then, but anyway. MIA, Crystal Castles and Corey Kennedy were running the world. Blogs were in their full effect and legacy media was panicking. Imagine the sound of the dare, you know, the messy night, the hedonism, the Dionysus of it all, but not weirdly set to H&M models. Instead, it was glitter bombs and, you know, pieced together skirts. Indie sleaze was a trend born out of a response to the early 2000s gold power pop icons. A little more partying and a lot more messy, it was defined by people having fun with what they had. Very much the messy teenage phase of the internet that her daughter Tumblr Grunge would go on to repeat. If you had some rip tights and two skirts with kind of contrasting colours, it was no problem. Sew the skirts together and cut the tights into even more shreds so it goes with the tattered jacket. After all, it's February in like New York or London, so you're going to need a jacket. The same way that grunge was a response to glam rock and heroin chic was a response to the tall, strong power models of the 80s, we have these counterculture moments that pop up in response to a very tailored culture, which is why the revival of quote-unquote indie sleaze is a giant contradiction. You have a tailored performative cosplay of counterculture as a nihilistic response to the tailored performative culture we have been living in for the past few years. My main point in this well-rehearsed tangent is that this is the rehashing of an era as a form of escapism, which is understandable, I would argue maybe even completely fine, but the lack of acknowledgement for the pain this era caused is very damaging. Sky Fiera was the internet's darling, but it's been over a decade since her last album. And that's for a reason, and that reason was part of why everyone loved her. So remember the next time you are in your insert keyword era and find yourself struggling, just remember this is kind of what you were sold. When you find yourself suffering, remember it's completely natural to seek a disconnect when living in something not entirely honest. From an external perspective, the way we are living isn't honest. The wider cause of this is most certainly modern living, and I don't mean this in the cabin in the woods way, but more that as time passes, people are expected to do more for less, and naturally, we want an escape from our prescribed obligations. There is a reason culture is moving so quickly. Do you remember Labubu's Labubu Matcha Ube DL trade? That was 5 months ago. And they're already gone. Loom bands are a generational talent, comparatively. Bratz dolls would have never and have never fallen off like Labubus. Jokes aside, it feels like the quote-unquote revival of something is almost a genre in and of itself. the office siren, the mod rebrand of Gorpcore, Y2K, Tumblr grunge. These are all fashion styles that have had massive social movements in the last 2 years. Hell, at this rate, we're probably a year or two from Hypebeast coming back.
Yes! Yes!
I'm not just here to yell at the sky. Looking inwards, I think we categorize these times in our lives and perform these eras as a way to justify our wanting of something. Our insecurities covered up by marketing ourselves under a specific niche, not only as a type of woman, but just as a type of person. You are projecting to fill something you don't have, and that's okay in time. It would be obvious to state that you will be more satisfied if you faced what you were seeking escape from or what you wish you had. You know, you can face it head on, and in the end you will become a more actualized version of yourself. And that is fine, but it lacks nuance, because it's entirely rational to seek an escape in an irrational system. Look, I don't have all the answers. I just kind of wanted a reason to talk about indie sleaze. But take care of yourself. Be yourself. I don't want to sound like Frank Ocean's mum. It's easy to lose who you are. But for now, my name has been Penny. Pull over if you get tired. Call me back. And bye. It really is the Lana Del Rey of it all. I have an appreciation for Charlie as an OG. Why do I sound so British? Oh my god.